know. Should we read? Hello. I'm super early. Should we read? Let me just see if I have it here. I do have the dissent. Hello, everyone. I'm early. I'm super early. Hello. Okay, here we go. Hello. Hi, everybody. Hello. Happy Easter if you celebrate. If not, happy Sunday or day of choice. I'm from Los Angeles. Hello. Welcome in. Hi, everybody. I hope it's okay. I'm a little early tonight. I've got some things going on later, and I thought, I just can't miss my YouTube live tonight. So, oh, thanks for saying that. I appreciate it. I'm not filtered over here. It's very odd. The thing about TikTok that's so great is that I have so many different filters, but I have no filter in a lot of ways. So, with my language, everything. Happy Easter, yes, or Passover, yeah, hello. Bunny Zombie Day, yes. That sounds great. Let's celebrate that. Oh my gosh, hello. From Bosnia, hello, welcome. Hello, Laura, good to see you. Kathy, good to see you. Just do it, hello. I will do my best with the comments tonight. It may take me a minute. I do kind of have a little bit different setup here, but I really want to try to do lives face-to-face over here on the tube. So I'm taking it out for a drive today. We'll see how it goes. The Bunny Zombie Day. I know. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. This last week was rough, and there's been some crazy business going on. Hello, Keelys. Good to see you. I'm glad you came tonight. I'm early. I know I'm early, everybody. I said 7 Central, and it's not. It's not 7 Central. It's 7 maybe Eastern. But I thought I would just hop on and come and hang out for a little bit here. Happy Bunny Day. Yes. You know, I think I appreciate the bunny that hops around spreading word of the risen Messiah. I don't know. Bunnies, Jesus, you know, whatever. Oh my gosh. Yes. So, yeah, happy Bunny Day. I like that too. We should use that. Happy Bunny Day. Yes, and the Easter Bunny brings the candy, right? I don't know. I have always loved the Easter Bunny. Maybe it's because my birthday's in April. So that's like my favorite holiday has been Easter, and then as soon as I looked it up and figured out the story behind Easter, I was like, "Ooh, that's a little dark." It's dark, people. It's a dark story. Oh my gosh. Hello, Kaya. Hi. I know I'm early tonight, everyone. But just what worked in my schedule. I am trying to do the Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday still, although I went live, I think maybe twice yesterday, and then maybe 3 times before that over on the talk, because there's just been so many things going on. There's just been so much. So, did you read Mr. Trump's not so heartwarming? No, I didn't. I wanted to stay like happy today. So I just kind of like moved those to the side. They're in my ignore read tomorrow pile. Yes. Happy 420. Yes, that's appropriate. We love that. Oh my gosh. The candy in the Easter baskets. Right. Oh, the Peeps. Yeah. Have you ever made a Peeps s'more? That's like walking on the dark side, everybody. If you put it in the microwave, I'm saying too much, but 2 graham crackers, right? Then you have to have Hershey's chocolate. Save up for the Hershey's chocolate. It's worth it for it to be Hershey's. And then you put the Peep on it, and then you put the graham cracker on it, and then you put it in the microwave, and then you take it out and, it doesn't seem right, but it really tastes good. So should be eaten stale. Yes, that's a good way to do it. I know. It seems wrong, but it's just really tasty. It's a tasty treat. Oh my gosh. Yeah, you should give it a try. Give it a try. Really? Oh my gosh, so double, triple. It's a triple crown today then. Birthday, 420 Easter. Oh, we love it. We love it. Yeah, give it a try. I mean, I mean, once you get over that first, like, oh my gosh, after that, it's like, it's worth it. It's worth it. So give it a try. Microwave those peeps and those s'mores. They can fulfill their destiny in another way? Oh my gosh. So, welcome in everybody. Like I said, I'm super early tonight, but just needed to come on a little bit earlier than 7 so I could spend the time I wanted to spend here hanging out with everyone. But oh, so I hopefully everything's okay. Last time I've tried this out a couple times with my sunglasses and everyone was okay with that. So I'm hoping it's still okay. I got my corner all set up over here, so the sound should be working. Hopefully. So just let me know if my sound is off or if you can't see me. I've got enough light going. You should be able to see me, but I can still function. So that's good. That's that's definitely good. Oh, you've got your glasses on too. Good for you, Jazz. Good for you. Whatever's good for you. Oh, that's so sweet. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Has to be Hershey's. Yeah, I mean, Cadbury chocolate is clearly the supreme chocolate, but if it's a s'mores, it's kind of like, there's really no true substitute for Cheese Whiz. I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? There are certain things that you just have to have Cheese Whiz for, and you can't get all fancy. You can't get like the cheddar mixed with, the port wine spread. That's a different animal. You got to get in there and get that Cheese Whiz when you need it, right? Get that Philly cheesesteak. You can't just have some kind of like posh, fancy kind of melted cheese. You gotta get the Cheese Whiz. So that's what I'm saying. Same thing with the s'mores. Oh, Lindt is very good chocolate. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, yes. I love it when they have all these fun little new flavors. That's my favorite thing. Yes, yes. Oh, I know, cheesesteak, right? Oh, I know it, I know it, I know. It's a tasty treat. Of course, especially if you have it in Philly, you've gotta have a a cheesesteak there. Put it on your list, and you've gotta have pizza in Chicago or a hot dog. That's right, there's just certain things you have to do. So, anyway, well, welcome in, everybody, welcome in. I'm early tonight, but not very many updates going on. I wanted to talk about the habeas corpus cases and kind of bring everybody up to speed on where they are at. So there's just a lot going on. We are at about 15 habeas corpus cases right now. I put them on their own board because there's so many. There's too many. There's too many habeas cases going on here. But yeah, well, everybody get your sunglasses on. Oh my gosh, it's always fun. It's always fun. So, anyway, be appropriate or my moderators will take you down because my moderators are the best ever. All right, let's start talking about it. So we've got some primary categories of the habeas corpus cases, all right? And one category is Mr. Garcia, and he's the Maryland case where there was no due process. There was nothing that was giving probable cause for him to be picked up, much less moved around and then shipped to El Salvador, all right? That's our first category. Love the sticky, yeah, the closet docket, that's fun. So that's our first category, Maryland. And then our second category, we have the five people who were put onto planes but had filed the lawsuit quick enough in DC. They were pulled off of the planes and they're going forward saying, there's no due process. And we would like to have due process, like, what's in your Constitution. So that's important. That's kind of our second category. And our third category are anybody else under the Alien Enemies Act who is saying you shouldn't be shipping us to a third country, especially on El Salvador, and this Alien Enemies Act is not appropriate. So that's kind of our AARP case. And then I guess we've got a side case, the DVD case, which are the citizens who have already been given orders that they're going to be shipped out. So I guess there's a fourth one, but I don't want to deal with the fourth one yet. So we're really dealing with those categories. Now, Mr. Garcia's case has gone up to the U.S. Supreme Court because we have a district judge who had said you need to bring him back. And the government was like, we're not going to. So it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said you need to listen to the judge. So that per curiam decision came out in the Garcia case. Now in JGG, that's the case where we have contempt going on, where the district judge there in DC has found probable cause that they intentionally violated his order. And so that's just kind of like hanging in the breeze. And he said, well, I may go forward on a prosecution. We're going to see what happens here, because what he wants to do is give them a chance to correct the situation, to rectify the contempt. All right. So that contempt covered them putting people on the plane under the Alien Enemies Act and moving them to El Salvador. He's saying if you can correct that, probably by bringing them back that were under the act, then I won't go forward on contempt. But if you don't, I'll refer to prosecution. So that's our second category. The third category that we're really kind of dealing with, the third one for the U.S. Supreme Court had hit like at 1 a.m. in the morning yesterday. And again, it's another group coming in and saying, we don't think it's appropriate to be sent to El Salvador when, they're trying to round us up and we have no habeas. We have no time to file habeas. We've got no time to get notice and an opportunity to be heard, our basic fundamental due process rights as a civilized country. And it's not just because we have a constitution. And there's a lot of countries in the world where basic human rights involve due process. Due process involves being able to talk to an attorney or understand the law that's been what is holding you. I mean, these are just basic pieces of due process rights. So the Supreme Court said everybody needs to stop on the Alien Enemies Act. Everything needs to pause. We're going to stop it all until it gets sorted out about whether or not the Alien Enemies Act is okay to be deporting people under. All right. Now, all of the other reasons why people were taken to El Salvador could have been under different immigration law issues. All right. So follow me on that one, everyone. So we have a category of the Alien Enemies Act people, which that's a wartime act, and I'm not even sure that it would apply here. It shouldn't apply. They're trying to make it apply, but it shouldn't apply. But then we also have other immigration rules that made it so some people can be deported, and lawfully so. You can be deported if you have exhausted all of the opportunities to be able to come in as a legal resident. Then you can't come in. You should be deported. That's how our laws work. But the issue with the deportation, of course, that we're dealing with, the huge issue is they're going to El Salvador, which has very questionable human rights. And so that now gets us into the category of the Convention Against Torture. Now that itself, so I'm going to refer to that as CAT, that's a treaty that all of the civilized nations, civilized meaning with so much money, they don't really know what to do with it. So let me just put it that way. The rich countries, all right, signed on and said, we're not going to ship people to countries where we know they're going to be tortured or, we can't do that. That's part of the CAT agreement. Now, Mr. Trump knows full well what's going on in that prison over there, and he shipped them anyway. So we've got international treaty issues going on as well. So that's kind of the breakdown of what's going on here with our El Salvador cases and our different categories of those. Has Trump overused a second chance to make anything right? Right, no. No. We've actually hit 200 cases at this point. We are passing the 200 cases against the Trump administration, and that's enormous. It's like 2.5 months. We're like passing 200. It's like just there's just so much. And it's ongoing. It's still ongoing. We've had a couple of cases that have been withdrawn or have been um finished, but yeah. And then there's a ton of cases still getting ready to go up to the US Supreme Court. So the US Supreme Court is like, we still have cases we're supposed to be working on here. But meanwhile, the government, it doesn't matter what the issue is, they're going to start pinging it up to the Supreme Court. So it could be a little teeny tiny issue. And they're like, well, we're going to take it up to the Supreme Court. Like, oh, all right. And so that's happening. Yeah, the international element of it is something that's going to be watched. And I think this is a good example again of how the legal system works just worldwide. It's slow. It works very slow because it tries to be meticulous. And we try to make it so that we don't have too many mistakes. So this situation with Garcia, that was not meticulous. And then we see what happened. If they had taken their time and done it right and gone through the proper steps, perhaps Mr. Garcia would have been deported, perhaps even been deported, within this time frame. But they didn't do what they needed to do. They didn't file the proper paperwork to have his order withdrawn and to get another order replaced. They did not give him any kind of notice or court time to go in and talk about it. So if they had followed the rules, they could have deported him if there was enough information. But they didn't. So now it's illegal what they've done. All right. So we got to keep that in mind. The other thing too to keep as a side note that I want you all to remember too is that there are people over there that have been deported to that prison, not under the Alien Enemies Act, but for some other reason. And we do have people filing lawsuits, habeas lawsuits regarding them. All right. So a lot of people are like, well, what about the other people that were there? We're working through it. We're working our way through that process of also getting them sorted out as well. And that's part of the DC case where the judge had said, turn the planes around, and they didn't. So all of those people on those planes that weren't turned around when the judge said, turn it around, all of those people should be covered now by the judge and by the contempt order. So if they want to cure the contempt, they need to bring them back. And I don't think enough people are really talking about that. If they want to not have a contempt issue, that they need to bring them back. Right now, we're so focused on Garcia, and that's good because we need to have the door open. We need to have one person, they go and do what they need to do procedurally and bring him back. All right. Because then they're going to need to start bringing others back if they want to come into compliance with that judicial order. See what I'm saying? Are you following me on that one? Can't get around to SCOTUS. I'm not sure what you mean. This is like what SCOTUS is saying. This is what the Supreme Court's saying. And Trump is elected. True. So we have 3 individual branches of government, and there's no branch that has carte blanche to do whatever they want. There's checks and balances, right? So all of our elected people are balanced and checked through the judiciary process. So that's kind of how, the system works. And if it didn't work that way, we would have, a monarchy, or we would have some kind of other, dark kind of government. But this is the government that we have that's written in the Constitution. Yeah, I do too, Angel. I do too. It's not hitting the media. And again, there's so much going on. There's so much going on. And I get it. But, we still have 2 plane loads of people where the government's just saying, trust me, bro. None of them were under the Alien Enemies Act. Like, trust me. Like, we don't have any proof, people. You're not giving the judge any proof of this. And then we also have another category of lawsuits where they're saying, we don't care why you deported us. You can't deport people to El Salvador because you know that there's torture going on and murder. And so you're not supposed to do that. So it's covered on all these different angles as it starts making its way through the course. It's just a very, very slow process. Uh, the 7 got that decision out before Alito could get his dissent out. That was interesting. Okay, Morningstar, I'm so glad you brought that up. So Alito's dissent is now out, and it's very short. So that was something I did want to read tonight. Here, I know we're face to face, but I can still read mostly. So I wanted to read that because I'm a little surprised, actually, pleasantly surprised. I may take that back, but I'm pleasantly surprised that his whole issue was just that the court was moving too fast, as opposed to, all of these other, legal issues that could have been, a big whoop-de-doo-dah. So with that, everyone, I will go ahead and just dive right in. Yeah, I know. It just came out. It just came out. So here we go. It's the AARP versus Trump. All right. And this is Alito's dissent. So I don't know how to pin stuff on here, everybody. I apologize. I know everyone who comes in is going to be like, what is she reading? So I apologize. So here we go. Hello, Kat. Welcome. Welcome. And hello. You better catch up. I know. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Hello. Hi. Hi. Hello. Happy to see everybody. So here we go. Let's dive in. It's not very long, which is weird because it's Alito. Here's his dissent. Short and with whom Justice Thomas joins. Here we go. Sure. I know I'm wearing these dark glasses, everybody. It's all right. It's all right. Shortly after midnight yesterday, the court hastily and prematurely granted unprecedented emergency relief. Proceeding under the All Writs Act, 28 U.S. Code Section 1651, the court ordered, quote, the government, quote, not to remove a, quote, putative class of detainees, end quote, until the court issues a superseding order. Although the order does not define the putative class, and that's a big deal, it appears that the court means all members of the class that the habeas petitioners sought to have certified, namely all non-citizens in custody in the Northern District of Texas who were, are, or will be subject to the March 2025 presidential proclamation entitled Invocation of the Alien Enemies Act regarding the invasion of the United States by this gang and or its implementation. So what's important here, as I pause for a moment, what's important here is the habeas action that was filed was for the Northern District of Texas. The Supreme Court now has basically just held for the Northern District of Texas. And one of the biggest fears was that if the habeas cases had to be filed where you were being held, that the people held in the Texas facilities weren't going to have access to the courts because the Texas courts were going to be like, whatever, we don't care. And that's almost what happened. All right. That's almost what happened because they had tried through the Texas court to get an emergency restraining order because they knew people were getting on buses and getting headed out. Right. So they tried, and the Texas judge was like, yeah, well, let's brief it and we'll talk about it and we'll brief it again. And they're like, it's happening right now. And the Texas court again was like, well, this is just how we do things. So they appealed it. They were like, we're going to appeal to every court possible because this is happening right now. And this is an emergency situation. So they were trying to hurry up and get her done. So let's continue on. Again, this is Alito's dissent in the AARP case. Motion for class certification is still in question in Texas. And although the court does not specify what it means by the government, it appears that the term is intended to embrace all the named defendants, including the president. So this is where Alito is splitting hairs semantically, which is really seems to be what everybody likes doing right now because they're jerks. Now, the rest of his dissent in here, everyone, is in bullet points, which I just love. It means he didn't have time. He didn't have time to flesh it out into like a huge 25-page dissent. So he just put bullet points in. So here we go. The court did all of this, even though, one, it is not clear that the court had jurisdiction. The All Writs Act does not provide an independent grant of jurisdiction. And then citing Section 1651, permitting writs necessary or appropriate in aid of a court's jurisdiction, citing Clinton v. Goldsmith. The express terms of the All Writs Act confine the power of a court to issuing process in aid of its existing statutory jurisdiction. The act does not enlarge that jurisdiction. So he's basically saying again, like, we don't have jurisdiction through this act that they used to say they had jurisdiction. Here we go. Therefore, the court had jurisdiction only if the Court of Appeals had jurisdiction of the applicant's appeal. See Section 1254, granting the court jurisdiction to review cases in the courts of appeals. And the Court of Appeals had jurisdiction only if the supposed order that the applicants appealed amounted to the denial of a preliminary injunction. So again, we're having this situation where this Texas judge was dragging his feet. They put it through to the Court of Appeals, got nothing. Court of Appeals was like, nothing. So because of the emergency nature of it, because we all found out what happens if you get on a bus and you get on a plane and they fly you to El Salvador, even though it's probably not legal, we know what happens. You're in El Salvador, all right? So it's not good. You got to hit it on the front end or we're never going to get these people back. So they're pretty worried about that. But here, the order that the applicants appealed was what they viewed as the district court's constructive denial of their request for a temporary restraining order, a TRO. They had filed it in the DC court, and the DC judge said, I'm sorry, everybody, but the Supreme Court said if you're going to file habeas, you have to file it in the jurisdiction where you're being held. So he kicked it out. The DC judge Boasberg was like, dude, I can't listen to your case. And Justice Alito is talking about that. That is, the district court did not actually deny their most recent request for a TRO. That's because he didn't rule on it because he wanted a whole bunch of briefs, right? How many airplanes full of people can make it to El Salvador while this judge sits around waiting for briefing? I said it. I'm not going to take it back. Oh my gosh. All right. So, make sure here. To do recent requests, right? District court failed to, okay. So here we go. Their most recent request for a TRO, but they inferred that it was constructively denied because the district court failed to rule on that request before the expiration of a truncated council-imposed deadline. The denial of a true TRO is not appealable, and here it is not clear that the applicant's TRO request was actually denied. This is getting real messy because the Supreme Court's not supposed to rule on temporary restraining orders, but then they just ruled on temporary restraining orders like last week, twice. This is getting really tangled up. Indeed, in an order issued last night, the Fifth Circuit held that it lacked jurisdiction for this reason. Again, the Texas courts are saying, we're going to just do what we want. We're going to drag our feet. Everyone's getting on the buses and going to the El Salvador. Right? Right. Sorry. I got an itch on my shoulder. All right, here we go. Next piece. So again, I'm just reading through Alito's dissent to the Supreme Court's decision regarding bringing people back and habeas corpus requirements, okay? Thank you so much, Tay. Yes, hit the like button and follow. I don't know. Does that sound good? I need to work on my presentation for that. All right, here's Alito's next point. It is questionable whether the applicants complied with the general obligations to seek emergency injunctive relief in the district court before asking for such relief from an appellate court. When the appellants requested such relief in the district court, they insisted on a ruling within 45 minutes on Good Friday afternoon because, holidays are important when people are getting shipped over to, a really awful, awful prison situation. We got to make sure you remember Good Friday because Jesus would want them to be in that place. No, he would not. Let's be clear on that. I'm a little spicy about this, everybody. 45 minutes on a Good Friday afternoon. And when the district court did not act within 133 minutes, they filed a notice of appeal, which the district court held deprived it of jurisdiction. It is doubtful that this aborted effort satisfied the federal rule of appellate procedure. It just seems like these rules come into play when it works for them. But when it doesn't work for them, they're like, man, we'll just change the rule. When this court rushed to enter its order, the Court of Appeals was considering the issue of emergency relief. And they were sitting there considering it, drinking a cup of tea with pinkies up, right? Take your time. Load them on the planes. Take your time. Whenever you're live here. Oh, well, welcome. I'm so glad. We're definitely, it's time to start kicking it up a notch over here with the lives. All right, so rush to enter its order. The Court of Appeals was considering the issue of emergency relief, and we were informed that a decision would be forthcoming. This court, however, refused to wait. But under this court's Rule 23.3, except in the most extraordinary circumstances, an application for a stay will not be entertained unless the relief requested was first sought in the appropriate court or courts below, or from a judge or judges thereof. So now we just have, as I pause for a moment, so Alito just said, all right, this is Alito, that it is not an extraordinary situation for people to be loaded up on buses and taken to, El Salvadorian torture prison. He just said that. He's like, only in extreme situations. Let me use the correct word that he uses here. Extraordinary. Only in the most extraordinary circumstances. All right, then. Next, the only papers before this court were those submitted by the appellants. The court had not ordered or received a response by the government regarding either the applicant's factual allegations, which they're refusing to share. They're not telling the courts anything, or any of the legal issues presented by application. Again, this is exactly like the first situation in DC, where if you wait for the government that's lying about it, people are going to be over in the El Salvador and they're going to refuse to bring them back. So there's this exigency level because there's no trust in the government anymore. Their credibility's shot. And because of that, they're not going to wait for the government. Right? Like we waited for you before and look what you did. Now we're not going to wait anymore. That's understandable. Exactly. Unless he's the one forced on the plane. Exactly. And the court did not have the benefit of a government response filed in any of the lower courts either. That's because of the government. They're refusing to do it. When the appellants first raised their allegations in the district court, that court provided the government, hold on here, page 4, with 24 hours to respond and was poised to rule expeditiously. But the district court dissolved the government's obligation to respond after counsel for applicants filed their hasty appeal, which in the district court's view deprived it of jurisdiction to rule. Again, this whole situation, including Alito and Thomas, they do not think that they need to hurry. So for me, in the way I'm seeing it is that, so what if they load people up and take them to El Salvador? They're not really important. That's what I'm hearing Alito say. These people are not important enough to rush. But if it had been, his buddies from the pub that got picked up and were getting shipped to El Salvador, he would probably make it more of an emergency, right? So that shows you again where that level of bigotry and racism is at, where this is a low priority to him. Why must we rush? Let's just follow, let's just wait 24 hours and just wait for the government to tell us what they want to tell us. So that speaks a lot about him. All right, next. The papers before us, while alleging that the applicants were in imminent danger of removal, provided little concrete support for that allegations. Now, remember, the Supreme Court's not a fact finder. Nope. Members of this court have repeatedly insisted that an All Writs Act injunction pending appeal may only be granted when, among other things, the legal rights at issue are indisputably clear, and even then, sparingly and only in the most clear and even the most exigent circumstances. So he's saying the rest of the court thought it was exigent, but he didn't. He didn't think it rose to that level. There wasn't enough evidence. Now he's citing a case by Chief Justice Roberts here, internal quotations. He's quoting, Hobby Lobby, quoting. Moving on. So he's basically saying, again, like, so what? What's the rush? Let's just follow court procedure and, let's just wait and see what happens. Right, like we did the first time when we waited to see what happens. We had 2-3 plane loads and no information on how many people were there, what they were there for, and how to bring them back. So there's that. Although this court did not hear directly from the government regarding any planned deportations under the Alien Enemies Act in this matter, an attorney representing the government in a different matter, the JGG case, informed the district court in that case during a hearing yesterday evening that no such deportations were then planned to occur either yesterday, April 18th, or today, April 19th. So now we have another important point. Sorry, everybody, I'm sitting on my filing cabinet, so sometimes my legs are like, what? So what Alito is saying here is, well, the government said that they weren't going to be deporting anybody to El Salvador for the next 3 days. Do we believe them? Do we believe the government? And in the case where the judge has found them to have probable cause to believe they intentionally, maliciously violated that court's order. And so now Alito is saying, well, you should have believed the government. They said they weren't doing it, so that's good enough for me. Are you freaking kidding me? I mean, that's awful. Right. I mean, it's just awful. So that's Alito's piece there. He's like, well, they said they weren't going to, so we didn't need to rush. We could take our time to figure this out. Although the court provided class-wide relief, here, that's page 4, this is page 5, the district court never certified a class, and this court has never held that the class relief may be sought in a habeas proceeding. So the whole idea of a class, everyone, is they're filing to have classes declared for anyone covered in this situation. And what's happening is they're having to do it state by state by state. So New York was the first state that said nobody can be shipped to El Salvador under the Alien Enemies Act. Colorado just filed one. Vermont filed one. Here we are now in another situation where they are filing, but it's going to be state by state by state, is how they're trying to cut off the federal Department of Justice trying to put in those barriers to them getting any kind of protection. All right. So that's really significant to note here that Alito's like clearly not on board with that. Barbara Jane or whatever her name is. Oh my gosh. I tell you what, this whole situation's like, it's no good. It's no good. All right, next, here we go. The district court never certified a class, and this court's never held a class relief may be sought in habeas proceedings. I also think, as I reread that line, everyone, remember back to the per curiam, where the Supreme Court said, you are entitled to due process. You can raise habeas under the Alien Enemies Act. And the question, one of the first questions, the reason why they didn't file habeas on the original suit all the way back was because they didn't know if they could include a class certification along with habeas. So they said, let's drop habeas right now and focus on saving the people. So they dropped the habeas in the JGG case, went forward with the class protection instead, and then JGG's come back now with a habeas claim. So Alito's saying, well, we don't even know if classes are going to be covered in a habeas case. But the Supreme Court knew these cases were being filed as class cases and said habeas was required. So if he didn't think habeas covers classes, maybe he was okay ruling on that unanimous decision because he thought they wouldn't be able to get help. Yeah, I think that could actually be a thing here, and that's pretty awful. Pretty awful. He's like, yeah, I'll vote because habeas isn't going to cover them. So, yeah. All right, next up. In sum, literally in the middle of the night, like when they're changing flags, the court The court issued unprecedented and legally questionable relief without giving the lower courts a chance to rule, without hearing from the opposing party, within 8 hours of receiving the application with dubious factual support for its order, and without providing any explanation for its order. So this language is very similar to the immunity decision, everybody. One of the biggest things that made them rule the way they ruled, according to them, in the majority opinion that they said over and over and over again was, we haven't even had a lower court figure out what exactly are official duties or outer perimeter duties. It hasn't even been tested yet. We don't even know what that means. And that's what they hung their hat on and said, well, unless we know what these acts are, there's immunity. And so the whole point was they wanted the lower courts to have to kind of sort that out, which is ridiculous. And thus, the immunity decision was just pushed through, and they're like, man, we'll figure it out later. Okay, same here. All right, the same kind of feel to it. Here we go. Oh, let me make sure I lost my spot, everybody. It is harder when I'm holding the document, but it's still great. Next, I refused to join the court's order because we had no good reason to think that under the circumstances, issuing an order at midnight was necessary or appropriate. Wow. Both the executive and judiciary have an obligation to follow the law. The executive must proceed under the terms of our order in Trump v. JGG. Look at that. Now he's saying to the executive, you have to follow our order, right? Per curiam, and this court should follow established procedures. Very interesting. So he's reiterating this idea that they need to follow their per curiam decision that they already made. So that's good. And then saying, well, everybody else needs to follow procedures, except for Alito and Thomas. They only follow procedures when, it works for them in their benefit. So they get paid more. So that's the dissent, everybody. That's Alito's dissent that Thomas joined in that AARP case where they paused the Alien Enemies Act to be used as a way to deport people. Even deportation is not even the right word, because deportation, you go into another country. What they're doing is taking people to prison. So it's not really even the same thing, but language is hard. So it's different. They're sending prisoners over, people who have not committed a crime that would put them at the level of being in a prison, right? We're not extraditing anybody here. We're just moving people whose documents make it so that they can't be here into El Salvador. And part of the huge piece of it is deterrence. But instead of it really being a deterrent for people, I think what's happening is that it's completely shredding any credibility the United States has. Kidnapping, exactly. Call it what it is. Crimes against humanity. You're absolutely right, Anthony. Human trafficking is what it is. It's kidnapping, human trafficking, sending people intentionally to a place where they know they're going to be tortured and killed. And that's against the treaties that we've signed here. Expedition is when we have one country wanting a criminal. So we found the criminal guilty, or they committed a crime in their country and they want to bring them back. That's extradition. That involves prison. Deportation is not a prison exchange program. No, you go into another country. Your original country, if possible, but if not, then somewhere else where you're not going to be tortured and killed. So we're not going into the prisons and pulling prisoners out of our prisons and putting them in another prison. We're not doing that. We're taking people without proper paperwork and putting them in prison. Now, I'm not going to stand up and say all these people are great. I'm not going to say that. But if you're a prisoner, that's what is why you're in prison. But if you're not a prisoner, why are you getting put in prison? All right? It's a very slippery slope. A very slippery slope. Extradition as well. Right. And honestly, everyone, extradition's not a bad idea for the US. And let me tell you why. Because our prison population is so overpopulated. It's just out of control. So if there was an extradition process in place that could be done legally, ethically, and not to a place that tortures and murders people, why not? Why not go down that road? Unless it's a fully fledged US citizen, all right? But that is one of the options that you can do. You can be like, hey, you want these people back. And it's can be a short-term, long-term contract. So I see what they're doing, but they're doing it all illegally. And, we need to have someone come in. We need a judge to come in and say, actually, no, you shouldn't be moving our own prisoners over to another prison. We need to have that, weighed out and decided before any of this kind of rubbish has been going on. And so they just jumped the situation as quick as they could, trying to hurry up and get as many people out of the states as they could, because now we've got jurisdiction questions. Due process, exactly, Lily. Exactly. And that's the thing again, everyone. This isn't about protecting bad people. And this is one of the biggest questions I always get when people are saying, well, defense attorneys, court-appointed defense attorneys are the worst people in the world because they're defending all these awful people. That's not what defense attorneys are doing. Defense attorneys are making sure that the Constitution's being followed. And it's the same in this situation. It's not about, I want to help bad people, or, I've got this, I got to hug a tree. No, it's like we've got a Constitution and we have to abide by that Constitution. That's what this case is about. Yep. Right. Well, again, I mean, there's nobody that should be sent into a facility that violates the human rights that have been set out internationally. That's never okay. That's never okay. But sometimes I think about, what about other countries where they actually have beds? That's one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't realize, is that our prisons are so stacked. It's not really even a living condition that's appropriate for a human. And if there are other countries that have different laws that aren't, packing everybody in on what they're packing people in on here, right? And they've got some beds and they need some money, why not at least start talking about it? I mean, I'm thinking to myself, the countries I'm thinking of are like Serbia, or Serbia doesn't need our money. Never mind. Not Serbia, but like, I don't know, Madagascar, whatever. I need guaranteed no torture, and no human rights violations. And it would probably be better for that prisoner than what our system has right now. I mean, they are literally stacked on top of each other. Our prisons are just, oh my gosh, heartbreaking. Shouldn't the courts decide if the people are bad? Of course. You have to have that. And, when I'm talking about prisoners, I'm talking about people who have been found guilty and sentenced. That's who I'm talking about. If you've not been found guilty, then to me, you are just a defendant. You've not been convicted. That doesn't rise to that level of, confinement. So if confinement's on the table, it needs to be because you've been found guilty. And that's, I'll stand by that forever, in my opinion. Yes. Well, right. And, every country's got different rules all around the world. They all have different rules, and you have to. You have to have the rules that fit for your country. And I know a lot of people are really judgy about that. But unless there is blatant human rights violations, every country does what it wants. Like I know in Thailand, uh, what was it? I was looking up a law the other day. It was a year ago. It seems like the other day. In Thailand, if a woman leaves the house without wearing underwear, she can go to prison. That's a true story. That's a true story. You can't leave the house without underwear on, or you're going to prison. I mean, there's some laws out there that don't make sense for us, but for some reason make sense for that country to have. And so because of that, it's like, you got to do what you got to do. I get it. I get it. But, be humane about it. And I'm not going to say our way is the best way, because our way is just our way that we're doing it. Who's checking that? Great question. It must have been hygiene. I get it. Yeah, hygiene. I get it. But why is it only for women? That's the other question. Why? I mean, wouldn't it be hygiene for fellas too? Right? Shouldn't both of them, if they're gonna do one, do the other. Make sure it's like, yeah, why not the men? Exactly. Why not the men? Because that's nasty. That's nasty. All right. But on the other hand, over here in the US, if you're like, well, if you don't wear your undies, then you're going to jail. They're like, that's my freedom of speech. That's symbolic speech I'm doing right now by not wearing the undies. I've got, stuff I want to say about the state of whatever. And I'm going to say it by not wearing undies, That's what we do over here, and that's fine. That works for us, but it doesn't work for Thailand, okay? That's true freedom when you don't when you just walk outside without wearing your undies. It's like, whoosh, that's true freedom right there. That's what they fought for. Oh, Paul Revere's like, yes, I did all that work. Oh my gosh. Right. Exactly. Yes, exactly. So every country's different. But if you're looking for a place for people to be moved to, if they are a prisoner found guilty after due process, that's one category. If you are pulling people, and the other thing too, everyone, look, I got to do a side note here. All right. Side note. Here's the other deal. And this is one of the things that Trump does all the time. He's done it his whole stinking life. He picks the easiest uh, route, or shooting fish in a barrel. You know what I'm saying? Like the people that they're working on deporting were people that already had protected status. So they were already, all of their information was known, where they were, what they do. All of that was easy pickings because they thought they were protected. So they just went in and got the easy ones. Now, the hard ones that they're chasing after and trying to figure out how to do it, and trying to put all of the information together, that's hard. That's hard to do that. That takes time. They're not doing that, right? Those aren't the people getting moved to the El Salvador. It's the people that are within arm's reach so they can get their numbers up. And that's just what he does. It's like you just put the easiest ones you can catch onto the planes and get them out. And it's just horrendous. It's just horrendous. That's why we've had some lawsuits of people saying, you gave us protected status. So we told you where we live. We gave you our phone numbers. We gave you our family information because you said we were protected. And now you come and you get us because you can't get anybody else unless you do it properly and put some work in. So they're just picking off the easy ones, again, to crunch those numbers. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. Mm-hmm. No one's safe. Exactly. Yeah, no one is safe at this point. And they are suing. They are suing. But again, the legal field takes some time. And the damage can be undone when it comes to legally, but mentally and emotionally, that yeah, you're never going to get quite back to where you were. A 12-year-old was picked up on the way to school. Yes, I saw that. I've seen a lot of these situations where we've had Canadians, a husband and wife team. There was an attorney. I think there were two attorneys actually. And, it's like your mind's blown. I mean, it's the other thing too, and I caution everybody, and I don't always want to bring up the race issue, but I'm going to. So bear with me. One of the things too to always remember, and this is just something that as a brown person myself has always been a thing. They're going after certain people because of how they look, right? We all know that. We know that's happening. But you have to watch out that you are not the token white person. I know you probably all know the story and know how this works already, but I'm giving a shout out here to all my peeps, all right? There's always like a token white person here or there that they will pull in and be like, see, everyone's getting treated equally. And so if you are that token white person, you are just being treated horribly as well. All right. So, it's not just the people that they're targeting, it's also the people they pull in to try to cover up crappy behavior. And they deserve protection too. So we got to kind of remember that. And I try to remind people of that too, because if you go to an airport and they're stopping people, they're going to get their token white person going too, right? And that person's still going to be then put into that position where they're like, what the heck's going on? So we can't forget about that. We can't forget about that. Yes, exactly, Tay. And women as well. Oh my gosh. Yeah. But what I'm seeing in ICE is that it seems like their teams always seem to have at least one woman there. So that they don't have the problem of questions of conduct. But I don't know. I mean, absolutely. I'm a good white guy. They're going to come for you, man. You're going to be the one where they're like, all right, we're not targeting people. Can you come over here, sir? You're going to be, that. I mean, I, I'm not trying to offend anybody of any race, but things are the way they are. They just are the way they are. And I've been teaching law enforcement for decades. So it's like, this is just how it works. I wish it didn't, but it just doesn't. It doesn't work. Oh my gosh. Imagine having a person like me in charge of the administration. Oh, everyone's getting jelly beans. If I was in charge, if I was the president, I'd be full Reagan mode. Everyone's getting jelly beans. That's the first thing I'd do. Absolutely the first thing. Could be exactly. And one of the problems when you start pulling people just based off of how they look, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make some huge mistakes. Take a couple of social media posts with, right. They have one white man who was born in the US being told he has to self-deport or else. Yes. I mean, again, they, Mm, it's so awful. It's so awful. One of those and I'm wondering about that too. I mean, I know my husband is usually the token white guy. And I'm not sure if it's because, we've got kind of like a brown white thing going on. But whenever we go, it doesn't matter. He will be pulled to the side and they're just like, blah, 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 you're free to go. Meanwhile, when I get pulled over, I'm like, can I at least get a screen before you start taking my clothes off? Like, can you at least not make it so all the people can see? Can I please have that? Meanwhile, with him, they're like, yeah, okay, you're good to go, sir. See you later. Have a great vacation. Like, what? That's not right. Ah. Yes, the only thing was the jelly beans. I'm with you. I'm the same, Lily. I'm the same. Ah. Yeah, so if you were spoken out on a campus in the United States, if you were a student who was spoken out, in a way that the administration thought wasn't the right way. It's possible you'll get yanked up off the street, your visa will be revoked, and you'll be put into detention, which is what we have happening with, I think, 5 cases right now. We're up to 5. They decided to, you know, be part of protests or make their opinions known on the Palestine. Since we're over here, I can say the words. And they were like, this isn't right. What's happening? And then now they're in detention and they're getting shipped all over the country. They're bouncing them all over the place. And we're still trying to catch and get them into the correct jurisdictions. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just awful. It's absolutely, it's next level awful. Came and took someone from my campus last Thursday. Oh my gosh. This is, yes. You have to be careful. Some people, again, I kind of used yesterday when I was talking about this, like the COVID example of like that is what martial law would kind of look like to us if we were to try to implement it federally, although it's not possible, but that's kind of how it would look. But that's the situation we're in right now if you are Black or brown. And you know it, and you know it. You are going to have to watch where you're going even more than you normally do. The thing too, though, that's happening is they're starting to sweep some of the Caucasian white population in as well. So, like, no one's safe. We've got, a list. Of course, we know who they go after first, second, and third, but they're coming for everybody. And, sometimes I wonder if the I don't mean to be offensive when I say the Caucasian white population, but sometimes I wonder if they have the tools they need because this might be the first time they're really experiencing something like this, where they are truly, in a moment, you're like, well, wait a minute, I was born here. I work here. I grew up here. What do you mean? Why are you even contemplating that? But we're starting to see it happen. I mean, it's leaking into every single population. And that's what happens when you start rushing around doing all of this stuff is you can take the easy ones off the top, but then after that, everybody is at a point where you could absolutely be the next person. And it doesn't matter if you're Black or brown. It's absolutely a possibility. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Complain about. Right, right. Now, true, but I have to say that historically, the YT women have also been one of the strongest assistants for people who are being persecuted. And that's just historically, if you look and see, it seems, and I always have it in my mind that a lot of the population that you're talking about with the women, um, who are also, I mean, hello, are treated horrifically also because they're women, but they tend to also be the ones that will help push people up and stand and hold them up until changes can happen. So I've seen that too within our white Caucasian women populations. So I've seen all of it go down the road, but none of it is okay. None of this is okay. 20% Portuguese got profiled. Yeah, that's it. That's it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me make sure. Did I miss a question? Ooh, here we go. Here we go. You aren't being offensive. It's the truth. Well, thank you. Thank you. I mean, we're at a point now where no one's safe. No one is safe unless you've got a crew cut and you're, a YT man of a certain age. Then you might be safe. Where did Trump get the money to pay? Good question. Well, he's not paying. He probably took it out of what he was supposed to give to Harvard. We don't really know. Those lawsuits are still going fast and furious with those frozen federal funds. There's like 20 F's in one sentence, everybody. It's just frustrating. Because I'm guilty too, don't pay attention till it hits home. Well, I think that's a fair assessment. A lot of people, and it doesn't, I mean, it's not just, as you know, not just one group. A lot of people do that. But I always have viewed it like, there's no group, there are no women out there that are not fighting a fight of some kind. And sometimes you're so focused on your own fight that you don't see all of the other problems going on. And I think that's really it, is that there are some blinders because they're so focused on trying to survive their own oppression that it's hard to look around and see other oppression and assist with it. It's almost like there's nothing left at the end of the day to offer because you're spending so much time trying to protect yourself. So that's one of the things that goes through my mind as well. Is I mean, the fight's the fight. The Everyone's fighting their own fight to some degree. Exactly, exactly. Tunnel vision, exactly, exactly. And it's not, I mean, it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. And in this country, there's a huge, huge history of this conflict between race and gender, right? So race and gender rights, or sex. I still don't want to say that word. All right, you know what I mean, though. Gender's a construct. Sex is different. You know what I'm saying? But there's always been this conflict, this fight between it. And in the middle have been our brown and black women. And they have been in the middle trying to, like, say, what we need to come together, right? We got to do this together. And that strength is in the group that can pull the sides together. And it takes a lot of work. Tea break, yes. I've got my peach tang tonight, everybody. Well, it's not tang, it's crush, but that's okay. Absolutely, absolutely, VC. Absolutely. Contemplation and discussion is so important for all of it, for everyone. It's, we got to talk about it. And I know we keep saying like, "Oh, we've never been through this. We've never been through this." But in all honesty, we just don't know. We just don't know because people didn't talk about it and you pushed it to the side. And just like the racism after the Civil War, you pushed it to the side, you put it away, and then until the day when it all comes out again and comes for you. So right now we're in a point where all of this awful, a lot of it was already here, as many of you already know, but we didn't see it. We didn't see it. We didn't experience it. But now, because of how our world is, there's no hiding from it anymore. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And I would say, I think the thing to always remember, even when I'm tossing out different race ideologies and so on. People are people. People are people. There are good people, there are bad people. In all races, in all genders, you know what I mean? And all of that, all religions, there can absolutely be a people who are oppressed and who do need help. And there are still bad people in that group, right? There absolutely. And then you can see the group trying to oppress, and there are good people in that group as well. So it's a people thing, not a race thing when it comes to that. And you just, you have to do what you think is best. And if you extra caution because of experiences you've had, of course, do you got to do what you got to do. Absolutely. And you got to trust yourself. Rely on your gut. Rely on your gut. Groups tend to be wealthy. Oppressive groups tend to be wealthy. I think that's fair. I think socioeconomic issues are one of the biggest ways of distinguishing groups from each other, from the haves and the have-nots. And those that have are at a point where they have less to fear. And I think it comes down to that. They have less to fear because they have more protection or means of protection than those that they're oppressing. So I think that absolutely plays a role for sure. Absolutely. Learn to right. As a white. Right, right. Yeah, and that's great. I think it's important to really, I mean, Achilles, you're right, to acknowledge and accept, like, there's just some things that you just don't know because it's not part of your world. But also not to diminish your own struggle. So not to say, I haven't done enough to help others with this problem because I didn't understand it, and then the guilt comes and the shame. No, 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 no. You've got your own battles that you've been fighting, and now it's like you've been introduced or shown these other things, and now you know. And so you can go forward and in whatever way you need to with that new knowledge. But it's not something to blame yourself for, because how would you have known? How would anyone know what it's like to be pulled over by an officer if you're a brown or black person if you're not? I mean, if you don't experience it, you're not going to even ask the question of what it's going to be like. But now that you're asking questions, now that everybody's asking questions, I mean, that's huge. That's a huge shift in our culture. Hello, hello, hello. Right. Yeah, right. So people may have more to lose. Yeah. Now, with the socioeconomic situation, what is unique, I think, in this country is that our classes can move. You can move up and down our classes. What the thing is to remember, though, is the lower the class, the harder you have to work to move out of it. So, although, you can go different places in your socioeconomic up and down journey, if you are down, you're going to have to work 100 times harder than someone up here in order to just break even. And so that's something to really acknowledge and just say, well, you can do it, but it's 100 times harder. And that in and of itself could make it next to impossible for some people. Oh, right, right. It's knowledge, exactly. Like your mind opens up the more knowledge that you get. And if you acknowledge and can accept that, that's fantastic. Does it matter on color? Does socioeconomics, you mean poor, rich versus poor? Is that what you're saying, Thompson? For color? Right, right. Pursuit of happiness. Yeah. Okay, yes. So I think one of the things that we've got to remember in this country is that a lot of people have a lower starting point because of race. The reason, and I just have to, and I always bring in the example of our indigenous people, if you think about it. Our indigenous populations are some of the poorest populations, some of the most discriminated against, and have the hardest time working their way up through the system. And it's because they start in a place that is just so disadvantaged to start with, that it takes so much to climb. So I think really the best way when you're wondering how race can play a role in how socioeconomics can prevent people from moving to where they really want to be is to look to our indigenous populations, because I think that's really the best example that I can give you. I think it plays a role, absolutely. But what role it plays, just depends. It depends on the situation. Yeah, yeah. Take a look at your indigenous populations around, and the schools and the living conditions and their ability to actually make more money and doors that are open and closed. That's really where you're going to see a stark example of how race works in this country, in my opinion, from what I have seen from that. In Florida, yeah, yeah, I'm a little tiny blue dot in my state too. I'm a little blue dot that stays in her house. I'm like, I'm not going out. There's nothing out there I need. You just, Oh, I know. Oh my gosh, our indigenous populations, one of the hardest cases that is so sad for me is to see we do have one group of tribes. I use tribe because that's what's in the filings in court. All right. That's why I use the term tribes. There are a group of multiple tribes also suing the administration for cutting down resources and people available from the Indian Affairs Bureau. All right. Again, I'm using the language in the forms. All right. It is just heartbreaking because it's like you can't cut something that's already so small. You cut it anymore and it's like it's gone. Right. So it's pretty sad. We don't go out anymore. Oh, I know. I know. I know. But you got to make your home your sanctuary on the one hand. Um Right. Well, I wish, and some people, and even I've said this, say I don't see color and I don't see race. And I think the best thing I can say about that is we changed in this culture. Who remembers that America is the big melting pot, right? We're the big melting pot. We all are from different places and we melt together. That whole ideology, like, I hung on to that for years, like, "We're a melting pot." But then came the analogy that we're actually more of a salad. We're a salad. We have different kinds of vegetables and condiments in there, and you can see that. You can see what those pieces of your salad are. Now, if you're looking in a melting pot, it's all the same, but if you're looking at a salad, it's all different, and so that's, one of the things is like, "Well, I don't wanna consider race," that's fine, but a tomato's a tomato. A tomato's not an egg, okay? Like, that's just what it is, and if you're like, "Well, I don't care what kind of vegetable it is, I'm going to eat it." Good for you. That's good. But not everybody feels that way. Some people are like, "Get the tomatoes out. I don't want the tomato. Tomatoes are bad." All right? So I think that analogy again can kind of help to say, well, race shouldn't be part of it, but it is. It just is. And as long as you're eating a salad rather than just green lettuce, yeah, there's going to be a piece of race involved in everything and gender or sex. You know what I'm saying? That's why salads are beautiful. That's why they're so tasty. We love salads because they're so tasty, because they have all these different things involved in them, right? Uh, for myself, Ukraine. Yes. Oh, of course, of course. Pretending that everyone's exactly the same is discounting the differences in the struggle. Well, exactly, exactly. And if you think about it too, like, I love a good melted pot of cheese. I do. I enjoy that. That's fine. But it all tastes the same. So if you want variety in your life, in your world, and to experience new amazing things, you can't just put it all in a pot and cook it. Mhm. Yes, and, that's the thing is that's one of the big things. I think a lot of people, and it hits home sometimes when I'm doing my Halloween special that I love to do on the Salem witch trials, and I've done it 2 years in a row. I'll do it again this year, but, fruit salad's really good too. Yes, I agree, I agree. So, when I'm going through and talking about the witch hunts in Salem and the trials, the very first person accused of being a witch was a servant from the Caribbean, right? She was the very first one. And I mean, that was easy pickings. Now, she was a very smart lady, so she was able to kind of manipulate the situation and, got out of there. But uh, there you go. I mean, it's not there's really not a lot about that, right? Because of who she was and where she came from. So, those are oh, that's so sweet. Yes. Oh, I love doing those historical trial reads when you go through and you're like, "This was what evidence was?" Like, "What?" Like, "What? You have a mark on your forearm and that means you're like, Satan's bride?" Like, "What are you talking about?" That's crazy town. Oh my gosh. It's okay if you don't like salad, Kaya. All those textures together. Oh, I understand. So if you're struggling with the texture, what I bet you do though, I mean, if you do sweets, I bet I'm trying to think of what would be good for you. You probably don't put fruit in your jello, do you? That's a personal question. You don't have to answer that, Kaya. That's very personal. But what about a monster cookie, right? What about a monster cookie? M&Ms and M's and oatmeal and, chocolate chips and stuff, right? We can do that. Oh my gosh. Who are now never leave the home. Well, right, exactly. Yeah, it's this, and that's smart. There's some people like, well, I'm going to go and do whatever I want to do. You can't control me. And it's like, well, now you're in a detention place because no one's really safe. You don't like sweets? Kaya, work with me here. We gotta see what would work for you. Maybe a fruit roll up because they're tie-dyed. All right, Kaya, you got the fruit roll ups. Oh my gosh. Or salsa. I mean, come on. That's so funny. One of the judges just ruled to stop competition proceedings. So to kind of combine everything together, is that what you're saying? Family and I keep our passports on. Well, yeah, yeah. I mean, I worry too. I'm right there with you. I'm right there. Okay. I'm right there with you, everybody. I mean, I totally understand. To stop the contempt proceedings. Yes, yes. And that order came out Friday, I think. Was it Friday or yesterday? I'm getting the days mixed up. Yeah, it came out and it said, we're going to pause. We're going to pause for a minute on all of this because we've got other things to get sorted. So, and the judge didn't seem too upset about it. He's already like, we got jurisdiction stuff going on. So, you can take your time to work through that contempt as far as people being hurt goes. So, Chex Mix for Kaya. Yes, there we go, Chex Mix. Oh my goodness. That's so perfect. The Chex Mix. We are a country of Chex Mix, people. So it's not over. No, no, the contempt isn't over. It's being appealed right now. They asked for the case to be paused so the issues on appeal can be sorted out without the case going forward in the district court. So yeah, it's still going. It's still up and running. That case is going to be going for a while. I mean, we're not going to find out exactly what happens for a while, for sure. Defense or prosecutor, I've done both. I've done both multiple times. How about stews and soups? That's a good point. I was thinking about that too. Like, I suppose you could. I don't know. Some people don't. I don't know. Kaya probably doesn't like all the different kinds of vegetables in a stew. I'm teasing, Kaya. I'm just teasing you. I'm just teasing. Ah. Oh my gosh. Charges now. They got to get. Yes. Well, here's the thing is what's going to happen with these contempt issues is it's going to start once one tips, it's going to just go like dominoes at this point because they're making so many mistakes and they're screwing everything up so bad with their strategy here. As soon as that first one falls, it's going to take a little bit to get it to fall. But as soon as it falls, you're going to see it all over the place. And so we're going to see a huge a moment in time where all of this just explodes all over the place. Bondi's husband's running for some. Yeah, I saw that in DC. I was like, I don't know about that business. I don't know anything about that. Those people, the non-foodie in the group. Nothing wrong with that. That's okay. We love non-foodies. Nothing wrong with that. She's catching strays today. Oh my goodness. Go fight, win. Thank you. The client tells you they are guilty and then do you then have to do your case? What do you do then? Great question. And here's the thing. As an attorney, and you probably have realized this from talking to any of the attorneys on the TikTok or in the real world, we don't give people the opportunity to go down that road. So many times when I'm sitting with a client, I'm like, the first thing I'm going to say is, I don't want to know if you did it or you didn't do it. I don't want to know. And I need you to give me the facts and the information, but I don't want to know. That's not what's important. What's important, did the police do their job? Did the police and investigators do their job? And if they did their job, it's going to be a real tough case to win. But whether or not they did it is not the reason why I represent defendants at all. I do have certain categories of crimes that I did not ever represent on defense side because I am just too biased. So none of those cases could I ever work on. Hello, John. Hello. So those kinds I never took. But if there was a case where it was like, well, I might have, and it's like, no, nope, zip it, zip. And I used to use that a lot too. I used to be like, shh, 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 shh. Don't say it. Because we don't want any trouble. But also, I was very thankful and lucky that I was able to pull in my own clients. I didn't do court appointed work at that level, so I didn't get appointed to someone where I had no choice, where I had to represent them no matter what. And I did that because another woman attorney in my community was getting court appointed people, and somebody went and blew her car up. Well, she was at the gym. She's like, she came out and her car was blown up. And she's like, yeah, I think it was my client. I'm like, what? I'm not going to do that, man. No, 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 thanks. There's other people that can do that. Younger and faster people can go and do that. But not me. I know, right? Then I had another defense attorney who's always had to put he carried, and he always had to put his weapon in the judge's chambers because the judge always had a safe that you could put your weapons in because they weren't allowed in the courtroom. You could have them in chambers all the way around everything, but not in court. So he would always load it up. And I asked him, I was like, because he was a really cool guy. He was kind of a dork. He had these, thick glasses, much like myself. And he was like, well, la, la. I'm like, dude, why are you carrying a weapon around? He's like, I got jumped in a family law case. And since then, I never leave the house without it. I have to have it. I mean, it's crazy, man. It's crazy out there. It's a lot between not knowing and defending clients. You have to be careful. It's an individual choice, and every attorney sets their own boundaries, and sometimes attorneys' boundaries aren't good enough, is what I would say. Sometimes they need better boundaries. Like, no, you cannot do this case. That's not a good choice. For me, I've got like my big ones that I would always refer out to other attorneys would be bankruptcy cases or any tax cases. Forget about it. Like if it's just a regular like contract or real estate or whatever, I'm like, sure. But if it involved like taxes or bankruptcy stuff, I'm like, I gotta go. I know a guy. I know a guy down the road. Go talk to him. But I'm not your person for that. Nope, no thank you. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so I think that's okay, Kaya. Some people are just that way. That's one of your superpowers is that you're able to compartmentalize your food. I think you should treasure that. That's wonderful. That's wonderful. Specialized. Yeah, yeah. And I mostly did a lot of criminal work and uh evidence constitutional, but I also did a heck of a lot of administrative law work, workers' compensation, social security, disability, labor law. A lot of that I spent time practicing in that area of the law as well. So, I don't really talk about that much because it's very state specific, those laws and those cases. But yeah, I mean, you spend some time doing it. I try not to think about that, Raquel. I try not to think about that it all gets mixed together. No, I just think in my mind, I'm like, no, 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 no. Yes, there are some attorneys that really do specialize, but what you'll find in because I'm kind of out in the sticks, right? I'm in a big red state, and what you'll find is because we have so many rural communities, we don't really have a lot of populated places with big populations. Is that the attorneys are much like your town doctor, right? Like there's maybe one GP or two GPs that cover a town or a county or whatever. It's the same with attorneys. We, kind of do what we need to do because we know there's probably not another attorney nearby. So, we just kind of figure it out as we go along. But these days, these days it's a lot easier because our network is much more um, spread out. So we're at least able to get good people in. We don't have to be like I'm not taking a bankruptcy case, all right? That's not going to happen. But that's just kind of how it goes in our rural or sparser populated states. How do attorneys get to be at such a level like Jack Smith? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of nightmares, and you got to have a strong stomach. My stomach was not that strong. I was not. I did not have a strong stomach. In fact, I had a terrible, terrible stomach. And I remember going in and sitting with a doctor and just because I thought I had whooping cough, and he checked, he's like, "You don't have whooping cough." And I just sat there and I just started just full bawling because I was right in the middle of an essay case involving a child, and I just was like, I couldn't even stop. And I was there for my cough, but, I it just was so draining mentally and emotionally, and as a mother too, it's very, very difficult, as an added piece to it. And he was like, "What's the matter?" And I'm like, I might need some anxiety medication." And he's like, "Yeah, let me write you a script for that." And I was like, "Okay, let's do that." It happens though. It's really it's hard. It's a hard job. And Jack at that level, he's so incredibly intelligent, and he keeps going forward, and he does it because of the love of the game. You can't do that kind of work without having a love for it. You have to uh, really, really hang on to that when everything else falls apart. Extremely hard to find a lawyer for. Right. Yes. That can be, it's it's a very specific. And when you have very specific cases, and it depends again on what state you're in as well. Like in my state, there may not be an attorney in my state that knows how to do that. Honestly, we may have to call the neighbor state in order to pull somebody in. That could very well happen. I mean, we just don't have that big of a population of attorneys, which is another reason why I try to stay a little bit incognito because there's not that many attorneys in my state. You'll be able to find me. No. Big trigger. Sure, sure, where I break down. Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, and it can be, and also when if you're with a doctor, that you actually trust, and which doesn't always happen, but you're in that room, you're with that doctor you trust, and you're sitting there, and it's like that moment of like security or safety hits you, and then it's like, wow, I didn't even know I felt safe until I started, crying. But sometimes that happens. Are they sensitive to light? Yes. Very sensitive, to light. Yes, and this is I have a dark room. A lot of my posts will have my, red lights on, and, so it was very hard. I was worried coming over here to the tube because we don't have any filters over here. I was worried about, um, being able to do a face to face, but I think we're getting it worked out. But yes, I do have, uh, some eye issues that I have to deal with. There might be a filter. I don't know. Is there a filter? Are my eyes Oh my gosh, wait a minute. Am I doing werewolf eyes right now, everybody? Are we werewolfing? Hold on, I can't tell. I can't see. Oh, that's all right. That's bonus. It's the werewolf attorney. Ah, love your lights. Oh, thanks, Kaya. Thanks so much. Okay, phew. Oh, yes. Well, sometimes, sometimes we just do what we gotta do for sure, for sure. And, too, to be honest, one of the very first sets of lives I did, like a couple of years ago, was I actually didn't have a filter on during the first couple of my lives, and the comments were just so mean. I was like, well, I don't need that because my eyes don't work properly either. And so that's another. So I have the sensitivity, but they also just don't, do what they're supposed to do. So it's easy pickings to tease somebody about that. Gotta wear shades. That's right. You know it. But yeah, I mean, people can be really mean about that stuff when it's when you look a little different. Like, I don't need any more goat jokes, Like, I get it. Well, it happens. It happens. And you keep moving forward. Reflection of your phone. Okay, well, that's all right. Yeah, I even put a screen up over here so I didn't have to fold my laundry. I was like, I'm not folding clothes. I'll just put a screen up. It's fine. Oh my gosh. Yes. So, yeah, my husband teased me all the time. I've got like 10 pairs of sunglasses. I'm very sensitive to light, and I have to, this is so funny. One of my children had gotten up in the middle of the night and was making macaroni and cheese because that's what children do. And the steam was getting in their eyes, and they're like, "I was getting a steam facial, so I grabbed your sunglasses." He put the sunglasses on, and then they broke, and he felt so bad about it. He wrote a letter in the middle of the night. He's like, "I'm so sorry I broke your sunglasses in the middle of the night." I'm like, "I got about 15 other pairs." But he wrote this letter, and it was he just was like, he got up, he's like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like, that's so sweet, but that sometimes happens, so we got your back. Oh, you're so sweet. Oh, yeah, it's interesting. I think some people just, a lot of times, I think people punch down, if you know what I mean. I think they pick, the gazelles on the outside of the herd because doing it any other way wouldn't be possible for them because of their own inadequacies. So that's kind of how I view it quite a bit. Yeah, it's just unfortunate. It's unfortunate. I was on with Amanda on a live just a couple nights ago, and I don't know if anyone saw that or not, but there was a fella on that live, and, we were kind of hitting, back and forth on stuff, but then he went too far. And at that moment, it was like, wow, the Hulk busted out, and then I had to be like, okay. Gotta gotta reel her in again, but, yeah, so I mean, sometimes it just happens, and, for me, it's just I needed to go yeah, it was DJ, yeah, I just needed to go outside and get some fresh air for a minute and then come back, and it's like it's over, so like, oh gosh, Amanda, I think, felt so bad about it, and I'm like, "Don't worry about it. You can't carry that negativity with you because 'cause we've got so much going on." Yeah, yeah, and I don't like to lose my temper. It's just really it's really awful for me. I just hate to lose my temper. So, it takes a lot to get me to a point where my temper is coming out, but then unfortunately, if it comes out, then I gotta figure out what to do. Happy Easter to you too as well, Kristen. Thank you so much. Welcome, welcome. So, yeah, we just gotta kind of, figure it out. Sometimes I have to tell myself, that person's lost. Yes, well, and they're lost and also, like, I'm not gonna go and try to help somebody who's being cruel and mean, right? So we gotta remember that too. Like, I'm not gonna help you get yourself sorted out because you're a bad person. But on the other hand, I'm gonna recognize that it's not really about me. It's not about anything I'm doing. I'm not doing anything that's, worthy of being um, someone being mean to me about it. Obviously, it's them. It's not me, it's them. You gotta really remember that. So it's not personal. And then when you pull that back in, you're like, well, that wasn't even about me. That was about that person. And it doesn't even matter because I don't know that person, nor do I care about that person. So we're gonna just let it go. So that's all right. That's all right. Bring up the same. Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's pretty slim pickings for those lives these days. Even though there's a lot of trolls out there, a lot of people just won't come up and even talk. So I think it's kind of slim pickings. Only means you lose the opportunity to right, right, and that's a really great point, Raquel. I think that's an excellent point. And then but 2, sometimes you just get to a point where it's like, "Yeah, all right, I got mad, I got angry, but we gotta put the Hulk back, put the wolf back in the cage, put the tiger back in the cage, and be like, "Okay, that could have gone better, but it didn't, so let's go forward. Next time, how can I do it better?" I'm kind of, like, past the point where I'm trying to assist people who are awful to me. Like, I did a lot of that. I feel like I filled my ledger out and it's maxed, so I don't have anybody else. I'm like, "Here, let me help you get yourself sorted out so you don't treat people like crap." Like, I filled out my ledger. I'm done. I'm done, I'm done, I'm done. It takes time, Jennifer. It takes time, and it takes a heck of a lot of pain. It takes a lot of experiences where finally you're just like, all right, I'm not going down with the ship, no matter, right. Right, right, and I know it's odd when someone has, a disability that you can see, that's really weird. People wanna ask questions. They're like, "Well, why are you in a wheelchair?" Or "Why are you doing this?" Or "Why are you wearing sunglasses?" Or, like, "Why don't you have half of your face?" People do that because they're naturally curious. Although what happens is for all of the other people where their disabilities can't be seen, then they're like, "Well, you don't really have you look fine. You look fine. What's the problem? Well, you got up and walked around today. So what's the problem? Or you said you're blind, but I think I saw your eyes moving. Like, you're not really blind." Like then that's also part of the flip side of that coin is when you um can't see what's wrong with them. So either way, it's really, you're not gonna win. You're not gonna win either way. Yes. Yes. Exactly, exactly. Mhm. Da 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 da. Yeah, yeah. I probably will take I'll probably be taking a break from, joining the panel. Sometimes I just am swinging by and then I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever, I'm just swinging by," but I'll probably take a break from swinging by for a little while. I just will need a break. And I've had problems with that DJ guy before. He really doesn't like women. He's very misogynistic. It seems like I trigger him. And although fun for me sometimes it's just not, sometimes you go too far. Oh, Janet. Oh my gosh. I just can't. I like, oh my gosh, that I wonder if she's lonely. Some of the things that she said, she's like, "I only have one friend." Like, I wonder if she's lonely, and so, that negative behavior, uh, at least gets some attention. So, we wonder about that. She's a weird one. Ah. Yes, he does, Kelly, he does. Yeah, I don't think he's a big, fan of females. With Hawk I know, I know. We've gotta do that again. We gotta do that again. Those fellas. I don't know. I enjoy watching their lives. They're great. I adore them. I adore them both. They're like my big brothers. But we gotta get something to kinda give that a little pizzazz. They need a little something, to kind of kick their lives up a little bit. I don't know if it's like, they need like party horns or like throw glitter every 10 minutes or something, but we need something to kind of liven it up a little bit. I feel like they're not truly reaching their potential when they are there. Cause I mean, they could be, that could be a full, like, vaudeville act. They've got the potential, but we got to figure out how to get it like, get it snappy. Like they need to wear something shiny or something. Oh my gosh, I will be yes, I've gotta definitely, go hang out with those guys again, for sure. He's very soft-spoken, oh my gosh, but isn't he amazing? I mean, he's just so wise. He's a very wise man, and I appreciate that, I'm so thankful for that. Yes, yes, and I think Hawk right now is, like all of us, we're all going through it right now with this situation. The things on the talk aren't good. The things going on in the world aren't good. And he's just he's so sensitive. Sometimes I feel like he doesn't have skin. Sometimes these issues they hit him so much that it's like, dude, you need to put a little bit of armor on to protect yourself. So then, and you can tell when those moments are happening where it's like, dude, you put your wall up. You need to cover yourself up and protect yourself a little bit because you're hurting and we can see it. So I think that they're both great. They're both great. I know there's liked watching that. Yeah, yeah, their protest lives. They really have a lot to offer, and um, they give you points to ponder. Hawk always gives me things to think about. He says so many things I've never heard before. I have to like take notes. I'm like, what was that he just said? What was that word? And then I go look it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's not right. Oh my gosh, that's when nobody can like look at my internet browser. I'm like, well, Hawk said this word. Oh my gosh, I get into trouble with it. I gotta write it down. Like I'll use that word sometime, but clear my browser history. Clear it, clear it. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think so. I think he does internalize some things. You know what I'm saying though? There's some interesting words out there that I'm just not privy to in my in my sheltered world that I haven't had before. Oh my gosh. I just make sure I don't repeat it. You can't repeat those words until you look it up and make sure you know what it means. So, well, you got to look your words up, right? Where else am I supposed to do that? More women. Yes, I agree. I agree. And what's interesting, Danny, last night, I think the whole panel, there were three of us up there. So, and there was like a total of 4 or 5 people. So she's there. She's, acknowledged. I think that's something she would like to do. It's just rather how it comes together. Legal Dad. Oh, he's fantastic. Legal Dad's just like, oh my gosh. He's amazing. He would be my phone a friend. You guys remember that? What was it called? How to be a millionaire or whatever? Where you could phone a friend. Legal Dad would be my phone a friend right there. Be like, help me, what does this mean? Meanwhile, I'd take Bearster to the after party. That's kind of how I feel about that. Oh my gosh. Yes, yes, I love it. I love it. I love it. Yeah. Yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well, barristers, I mean, you can hear the litigator in his voice when he's going after, when he's hunting, when when he's making comments for someone, and he's like, dun 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 dun. You can hear that litigator in his voice. So I think it's great. I think he's great. Who wants to be a millionaire? That's right. Thank you, Lily. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I was gonna be on that. Wisco. Oh my gosh. Wisco is so smart. I tell you what, that man, we did a live together just on accident. He was doing a live and then I came by and we talked, I think maybe like for an hour. We were just talking and then we looked down and we're like, "Oh, there's a chat." There's a chat going. Okay. Sorry. Sorry. But he's so smart. Oh my gosh, he's incredibly intelligent. Incredibly. And the duck clock. Also incredibly intelligent. Like, this would be like my Ocean's 11 crew if you were gonna go and, like, take down a casino. I'd be like, "All right, come on in, duck clock. What have you got for me?" Bringing them all in. We'd plan it all out. Oh my gosh, absolutely. Oh, Wisco's amazing. They're all amazing. We love them. We do. Yes, Scotty. Oh my gosh. Yeah, no, that's the crew right there. Absolutely. I'm missing one. I can't remember. I just lost his name with the glasses and he just lost his account not long ago. What's his name? For some reason, I've forgotten what his name was, but he's in there too. Well, not Fuzzard. I don't know. Wiseacre. Oh my gosh, VC, thank you so much. Woo! Wiseacre. Yes, thank you, thank you. Here's the deal with Fuzzard. I feel like he's the one that would accidentally fall down and like set the alarms off. All right. So that's it. So that's what I'm trying to say. Oh, Trency, absolutely. I mean, you could see an Ocean's 11 situation there. And Nemo, exactly. They are the squad for, for any caper. You gotta get them going. Get the caper. Yes, right. Legal Avengers. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I can have like the rules of evidence as my weapon. I'm such a dork. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Oh yeah, Trentsy's, oh my gosh, again, so incredibly smart and well spoken. I love it. I love it. Yep, Kendrick. Yeah, the whole squad. The whole squad, everybody. They're just good people, crazy intelligent people. We love that. Well, right, he's gonna set the alarm off. Fuzzard's gonna trip the alarm, all right? We can't have him on the team, all right? He's not gonna be the acrobat that comes and unlocks the door. He's gonna be like setting the alarms off. I'm sorry, but it's the true story there. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Right. Whack back. My goodness. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, yes, indeed. Yes. Oh, I mean, come on. Buzzard looks, he's just a interesting, funny fella. Funny fella that would trigger the alarm. So don't take him on a heist. Oh my gosh. Yes, exactly. Exactly right. Yes, yes. Oh my gosh, that would be funny too if we had like a chat squad. We go out. We're taking over the world. Get that Declaration of Independence. Like, all right, let's translate it. Dun dun dun. Oh my goodness gracious. Yes, yes, yes. He overshares. I'm thinking like, well, that's a bit of an understatement, but yeah, yeah, here we come from. Yeah, Ethan too. He's done some really interesting works. Every once in a while I'll pop past his lives and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Very interesting. So we love it. We love it. We love it. Oh my gosh, moderators, of course. They would have to be our team captains, of course. So thankful. So thankful. Yes, Popok's great as well. He certainly is. Now, with that, my friends, I came on early tonight because I needed to hop off a bit earlier tonight. But so I'll have to go ahead and close this down. But I want everyone to have a wonderful night. And I will be back again. I'm still doing Tuesday, Thursday, Sundays here on the tube. 7 o'clock still is pretty much the time. So 7 Central. So I will be back again very soon. And of course, my favorite class clown, Kristen. So thanks for coming in, hanging out. It was, I think it's important for us to stay on top of all of these habeas cases. So I'll keep you posted. But have a great night. Happy Easter, everybody. And again, thank you so much for coming and hanging out with me and my sunglasses. So take care. Here we go. Are we going to make it? That's my hand. Are we going to do it?